What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm bringing you my mock draft for the upcoming draft here in 2023. Now, I want to stress this before we even get into it. This is kind of like a rough draft version of a mock draft. I do have reasons as to why each player is going where they are, and I do plan on releasing another mock draft when we get closer to the draft. We still have weeks to go, so I'm going to release one probably like a week before the actual draft itself with more of an in-depth analysis. But let's have some fun here today and go through my initial gut reaction for a mock draft. Now, going number one, we have the Chicago Blackhawks. They won the draft lottery, and they shocked the world by... No, they take Connor Bedard, obviously. Connor Bedard goes number one to the Chicago Blackhawks. The right-shot center from Vancouver put up 143 points in 57 games played with the Regina Pats this season, and is pretty much being touted as the next Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby. There's no scenario in the world where Chicago doesn't take him. Now, guys, on to pick number two here for the Anaheim Ducks. And I have them taking Adam Fantilli, the center out of the University of Michigan. Looking at his elite prospect profile, only one group has him outside the top two, and they have him third. He's absolutely the consensus number two overall pick. He put up 65 points in his 36 games he played this past season for the University of Michigan, and I have no doubts he's going to be an absolute stud for the Anaheim Ducks. Now, moving on to pick number three, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. And for Columbus, I see them taking Leo Carlsson. I don't think this is going to come as a surprise to most people as well. Leo Carlsson, the big center out of Sweden, is an extremely reliable two-way center that can play both ends of the ice. He's a very confident player with size that's going to help him at the NHL level. Now, moving on to pick number four, we have the San Jose Sharks. And I do have San Jose taking Matvei Michkov. The Sharks will not be contenders for a while. They're not going to be good for a long time. And Michkov isn't going to be coming over for a long time. A team that wants to be ready this year or next year and take that next step, go to the playoffs, they won't have Michkov available for them to make those runs to the playoffs, which is why a team like San Jose makes the most sense. His shot is absolutely ridiculous, and though he may be on the smaller side, there's no doubt in my mind that Michkov is going to be an elite NHL scorer. On to pick number five for the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal selects at pick number five, Will Smith out of the U.S. national team. He is committed to Boston College next year, but he put up 127 points in 60 games, 51 goals in 60 games for the U.S. national under-18 team. Smith is a ridiculously talented center that can put pucks in the net and put up lots of points. Let's see if we can do it at the NHL level for Montreal. So that's how I see the top five going, and I think from here it kind of opens up a bit. Realistically, you could have some players shuffle around, but like those are the top five in my opinion. And what seems to be the consensus online, those are the top five players going in this year's draft. Now, we have 11 picks to go, and I have like 20 names here that I could throw in. So the next 11 picks are going to be interesting. Please, for the love of God, don't yell at me too much down below. We're just having fun here. With that being said, pick number 6 belongs to Arizona. And I have Arizona taking the first defenseman off the board. It's going to be David Reinbacher. That's right. I don't have him taking Axel Sandin Pellikka. I think that Reinbacher has proven that he is the best defenseman in this draft class. Last year, they drafted Cooley and Geeky. This year, they go for a defenseman, the big David Reinbacher. And I think, while he doesn't have the best offensive upside, I think this is going to be a very steady two-way defenseman for them. And they need to start getting that D-core ready. You know, you're going to have Cooley soon. You're going to have Geeky and all these guys come up. And you're going to need the defenseman to come with them. Now, moving on to pick number 7 and the Philadelphia Flyers. I have them taking Ryan Leonard out of the NTDP. Last year, they took Cutter Gauthier, who could be their center of the future. And there's some questions on if he'll actually play center, but we'll see in the future. And then they have their winger now with Ryan Leonard, who's going to be a dynamic player. Do you imagine Cutter Gauthier and Ryan Leonard on a line together? Leonard put up 94 points in 57 games last year and will be going to Boston College next season. Now, what's strange is I have Leonard listed as a right winger, but I'm looking on Elite Prospects. They have him listed as a center. I don't see a scenario where he's going to be a center at the NHL level. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe I missed something, but like looking through, no one else has him listed as a center. Maybe that's just a mistake on their end. Regardless, he'll be very good for Philadelphia. Now, on to pick number 8 and the Washington Capitals. And from the Winnipeg Ice, I have them taking Zach Benson. 98 points in 60 games for Zach playing in the WHL. He's a small but dynamic player on the ice. And I know there's a lot of questions to his size. According to Hockey Writers, he only weighs 159 pounds. He can put on some muscle. He can do what he needs to do to make the NHL. And if he's learning from Ovi, I think he'll be great. And now we go to pick number 9, my favorite team, the Detroit Red Wings. And with pick number 9, I see Stevie Y walking up there and taking center Dalibor Dvorsky. I just don't see a scenario where he falls either. I see some people have him in the top 6, and And Detroit desperately needs goal scoring and offense, and he brings that, that's for sure. Dvorsky was playing in a men's league last year in Slovakia, even though he's from Sweden, and he plays a good 200-foot game, which, if you're a Red Wing, you need to be able to do. Now, I'm just going to take a second, because as a Wings fan, I want to get some little extra thoughts on here. There's another player who I really had my eye on, and I could definitely see them taking still. I think there's someone that Yzerman's going to look at and go, I have to take that player, and that may still happen, but I have Dvorsky going to Detroit. Let's go on to pick number 10 in the St. Louis Blues. And at pick 10, from the US, Gabe Perreault. He has very high hockey IQ, and his passing and playmaking is ridiculous. Playing for the US National Under-18 team, he put up 132 points in 63 games. This gives St. Louis even more options in the future up front. Their offense is absolutely loaded, and they do have some really good defensive prospects on the way as well. St. Louis is going to be a force. Now at pick number 11, we have the Vancouver Canucks, and I have Vancouver taking Oliver Moore. Now, this is who I was talking about for Detroit. I could definitely see them taking Oliver Moore. Hell, his NHL comparison is Dylan Larkin. Imagine a team with 2 Dylan Larkins. But instead, I have him going to Vancouver and playing number 2C in the future behind Elias Pettersson. Moore is the best skater in the draft, has super high hockey IQ, and solidifies the D in Vancouver for a long time. Now on to pick number 12, and we're back to the Arizona Coyotes. I had them taking a defenseman at pick number 6, so of course, at pick number 12, I do have them taking a forward, and I have them taking Edward Saleh. He has the full package in size, speed, and skill, and could be their top winger of the future with Logan Cooley at center. On to pick number 13 with the Buffalo Sabres. This one I went back and forth on quite a bit, I'm not gonna lie to you, but in the end, I did have them taking Matthew Wood. Buffalo's system is absolutely stacked, let's be honest, and they add another great player with Matthew Wood here. I think that he's going to be a little bit more of a project. I think he'll take a little bit more time than you might think, but I do think he'll be an effective goal scorer at the NHL level once he does make it. On to pick 14 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, their first top pick in a very long time. At 14, I have Pittsburgh taking Axel Sandin Pellikka. The second defenseman to come off the board. Some people have him going in the top 10. I have him slipping a little bit because he is smaller, although the best offensive defenseman maybe in the draft. A great skater and puck mover, and Pittsburgh is going to be getting someone very good for the future for them. The second defenseman in the draft, there's not a lot of D-men going. However, here with pick number 15, I have defenseman number 3 coming off the board for the Nashville Predators, Tom Willander. He's a mobile two-way defenseman, and let's be real, Nashville's defense at one point was the best in the NHL. It's definitely come apart after trading away some pieces, losing some other pieces, and it's time for them to restock those shelves and get Tom Willander here at pick 15. I think it's a good option. And pick number 16 in the draft goes to the Calgary Flames, and we're going to be giving them Brayden Yager. Now, like I said, this is a rough draft of my mock draft, and the reason I'm saying that now is because I see some people who are not in the top 16 who definitely could be, like Colby Barlow. So I don't really know. Maybe Barlow goes 17 to Detroit, but for now, I have Calgary taking Brayden Yager. He's a center, and the only other center in the prospect pool for Calgary that's in the top 8 is Connor Zary, potentially. So I think this is a great option for them to take. They get that center of the future. In general, he's just a good player. He's fast, he competes, he's got a strong two-way game, and he puts up a lot of points. What else can you ask for? Now, the Wings have pick number 17. I'm just going to throw in Colby Barlow. I've liked Colby Barlow since the day I seen him. I have season tickets to the Spitfires, so whenever a team comes to town, I always pay attention to the top prospects. Colby Barlow has always looked good to me. So if Detroit gets someone like Barlow, I'd be pretty happy. There's other players I could throw in here in the top 15, and I wouldn't be surprised to see going. Like I said, this is kind of a rough draft for me, and I don't know how well I did, but you guys let me know down below what you think. Now, like I said, in the future, I'll be doing another one of these, a little bit more in-depth, too. I'm going to go through all the prospect profiles. I'm going to make sure that I have everything accurate. This is kind of like a gut reaction. I take a look at the players, I list them in order I think that they're going to go in, and I make sure that they're a fit for the team. But I really want to dive in for the next one, so let me know down below what you guys think of my current mock draft, and we'll compare them and next time I do one before the actual draft late next month. Regardless, that's going to do it for me. Let me know down below what you think of my mock draft and where do you have your team picking. I know a lot of people clicking on this are only looking for their team specifically, so if you guys have any ideas of who your team's going to be taking, let me know. Let me get some ideas, bounce some ideas off you guys in the comments. We can have a lot of fun down there, and please don't yell at me too much. Like I said, this is a rough draft. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Stay frosty.